Hare Krishna. India Heritage Foundation London extends a very warm welcome to every one of you for today's session on the Bhagavad Gita. Let's begin by invoking the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all the Purva Acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by offering these prayers. Please join me as we offer these prayers. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe. Jai Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Vrindavan Dham. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Vrindavan Dham, Jai Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai, Jai Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Prabhupada, Gurudev, Prabhupada. Ram Sankirtan Mahayagna ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have
Hare Krishna.
spring setting in and wonderful sunshine coming in. People are, when we are out, we see people are happy to move around without a jacket. The temperature is favorable. So the first session, the Gita session of spring 2022, I should say. Sharing the screen with all of you. You can see this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse number 25. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad evam viditvainam nanushochitam arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad evam viditvainam nanushochitam arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitam arhasi. Anybody would like to try? Any
Shall I
volunteers?
try Hare Krishna, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please try.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryo mamuchyate tasmadevam viditvenan nanu shochirtumarhasi.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, I'll try.
Yes, Mataji.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam vidhitvamanam nanu sochitam harasi.
Thank you. Synonyms. Avyaktaha, invisible. Ayam, the soul. Achintyaha, inconceivable. Ayam, the soul. Avikaryaha, unchangeable. Ayam, the soul. Uchyate is said. Tasmat, therefore. Evam, like this. Viditva, knowing it well. Enam, this soul. Na, do not. Anushochitum, may lament over. Arhasi, you deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Translation. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no other source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no other source of understanding the soul except by understanding the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is a statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the supreme personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. The sense, the Bhaktivedanta. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. So here we are seeing Krishna is describing the existence of soul in many wonderful ways. And of all the different adjectives that is used to define what the soul is and what the soul is not, Prabhupada goes on to let me draw your attention to this particular thing that we just read. Prabhupada is talking about the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. And then he adds to that, there is, by giving the analogy of the father and the mother, how one can understand the identity of the father through the authority of the mother. He says that there is no other source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. There is no other source. In other words, soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. It is very, very insightful. And this is exactly what Krishna is saying. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. Achintya. What is achintya? Achintya means inconceivable. It is said that the soul is inconceivable. very difficult to appreciate with our regular logic, argument, sense perception. This is not the way to approach transcendental subject matter. So, in fact, we have experience in our regular life on how we go about acquiring knowledge. Like, for example, these are all different categories of how we go about acquiring knowledge. We acquire knowledge through our direct perception. I can perceive that the spring is on. I can perceive the change in temperature. I can perceive another person in front of me. I can perceive an object in front of me through my senses, through my sense organs. So there are so many ways, and well, I would invite some of you to add to this point on what are the different ways and that we normally go about in our day-to-day life acquiring knowledge. Anybody would like to share your thoughts on this?
By reading something or listening?
Yeah. We read the newspaper, we read the news articles, and we get to hear these days, the news is all about what's happening in Ukraine, who bombed which city, how many people died, how many refugees, Biden is in Poland, he's meeting some defense secretaries, and so on and so forth. Yes, so that's how we get to know. We read and we get to know. Yes. Is there any other way?
Discussion.
Discussion, yes. When we discuss with knowledgeable people, then we get access.
By experience.
By experience, yes. Experience, okay. Are there any more? So these categories, what you all have shared is all these different categories. It is broadly classified into three, and there is nothing beyond this three. And you can see the way in which the scriptures go about summarizing things and giving us the essence in a capsule. This is the beauty of the Vedic literatures, and you'll be able to appreciate this as I go further in describing this. There are three ways broadly by which we are all acquiring knowledge on a day-to-day basis. And what are they? They are known as pratyaksha pramana. Pratyaksha pramana. Acquiring knowledge through direct sense perception. And the second one is anumana pramana. Anumana pramana means acquiring knowledge through analysis, through inference, theorizing. So this is anumana pramana. And then, what is the third way of acquiring knowledge? Anybody? And we'll go into a little depth of this. The third classification is, anybody?
By experience of others.
I think, yeah, so that is partly correct. It can be experience of somebody who is situated in knowledge. It can be through the experience of somebody who is in ignorance. So we can gather. This is called as Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman. That means by receiving acquiring knowledge through the authority, the perfect authority, acquiring knowledge through an authority. Shabda Praman. So what is this? Let's see this in a little more detail. Some glimpses. Let me share this with all of you. What do you see in this picture?
Sea and mountain, sand.
Yes. So we all have heard about what is a mirage. When you are walking in a desert, or it's a bright sunny day and it's a very hot day, and even if you're driving on a road, we can have this experience. It looks like there is a water body. There's a water body here, but actually it is not a water body. It's a mirage. It's an illusion. And it is said sometimes these animals, they get carried away thinking there is water, there is water. They're very hungry, they're very thirsty, and they are in the desert, and they get misled by this mirage, and they chase after water, but there is no water. It is a illusion, which science explains is because of the surface being so hot, so the air above it is heated up, and they explain some phenomena why the mirage occurs. Okay, so what do you see here?
Pencil in the water.
Glass.
Pencil in the water. So
Pencil.
is a
Glass.
pencil straight?
Pencil.
No,
Why is that?
because it can't stay in the straight. It has to be angled.
No,
It has got a
because of
nib.
water.
It has got a point at the front, so it
Because
can't
of
stand on its own.
Water, you
No.
get yeah.
No.
Yes, Dr. Yashwant is clarifying on from the background. But yes, I can hear him. He's saying about the difference in the refractive index. Actually, the pencil is not bent. Pencil is straight. But because the pencil is, we are seeing it through the glass, we are seeing it in air, and we are seeing it in water, different media. And because of different refractive index, it is appearing to be bent. But actually, pencil is straight. Pencil is not bent. To our perception, it appears like it is bent. This is in one sense an illusion. So, like this, when we rely on our senses, be it the eyes, be it the ears, be it the tongue, to acquire knowledge, the knowledge may be distorted. It can be imperfect. There are chances that it can be imperfect and it can be misleading. This is pratyaksha pramana. Now, suppose my ears can catch sound in the range of 20 to 20,000 kilohertz. That is the range for human ear. I cannot hear sound frequencies which are less than 20 or more than 20,000. But because I do not hear, doesn't mean that the sound does not exist. Some animals, they communicate through frequencies which are very, very high, ultrasonic, like the dolphins. You cannot hear how they communicate, but they do communicate. It is beyond my perception. My vision can capture only between 4,000 to 9,000 Armstrongs wavelength. I cannot perceive infrared rays or ultraviolet rays. They're beyond the spectrum of a human perception. But that does not mean those radiations don't exist. They do exist. But I'm not able to appreciate because of my defective senses. This is important because my senses are conditioned to operate in a particular range, in a particular frequency only. And even within that frequency, I can get misled, like in the case of this pencil. Although it is there within my visible range, but I'm not able to perceive the truth. I'm thinking that the pencil is bent. A person who doesn't understand refractive index, and he will think it is often it is bent. So this is illusion. So this is pratyaksha pramana. The Vedic literatures do not lay importance on knowledge which is acquired through pratyaksha pramana, what we call as observation. What is this observation? Observation means you're relying on pratyaksha pramana. You're relying on knowledge acquired through your perception, your direct sense perception. This is pratyaksha. But that cannot be relied upon because of the inherent defects associated with our senses. Now, some more examples of how perception can be misleading. We all have experience of traveling by tube and train. London is famous for its tubes, although they're expensive. If I were to stand on a railway track, and then I look at the far end, assuming that the railway track is all straight, there is no curves, it's straight. So if I were to look at as far as I can see, these are two parallel lines, the track. But when I look at the distance, it appears to me like somewhere far ahead, these two tracks will merge. They appear to me like that. But will they ever merge? They will never merge. They're always parallel. But to me, it appears like they will merge. This is one kind of an optical illusion. Like that, there are so many optical illusions that we come across. Now, moving on. There is the second way of acquiring knowledge, which is called as the Anumana Pramana. What is this Anumana Pramana? Anumana Pramana means through analysis. You observe something and then you theorize that if this is so, then this must be like this. I have some past experience of sense perception, and based on that, I extrapolate, I analyze, I theorize, and I derive knowledge. Like, for example, the Shastra gives the example of 6 blind men. They're trying to examine an elephant. So these blind men, they have never seen an elephant in their life. And they were asked to examine what the elephant is. Each person went and held a different part of the elephant. And they came up with different understanding. One person was holding the trunk of the elephant. And this person had an experience of a snake. So he said, elephant is like a snake. This person held the tusk. And to him, the tusk was like a spear. And he said, elephant is like a spear. This person held the leg of the elephant. And to him, the leg of the elephant was like the trunk of a tree. So he said, elephant is like the trunk of a tree. This person held the ear of the elephant. And he said that the elephant is like an umbrella because the ear was like a fan. And this person held the abdomen of the stomach of the elephant. And he said, oh, this elephant is like a wall. This person, he held the tail of the elephant and it seemed to be like a rope. So he said, elephant is like a rope. See, each person is appreciating the same elephant, but they're describing in their own ways. All of them are correct because they have a past experience in their life of rope, wall, and all of that. And when they come in touch with something similar to that, so they make a conclusion. So this is like a wall. This is like this thing. So all of them are describing based on their understanding. They're correct, but are they anywhere close to what the reality is? Reality is it's an elephant, but you are describing something else based on your perception, which means you're making an analysis. And there is a danger that this analysis can go wrong because you're making your analysis the basis of all your analysis is based on your observation, your past experiences. And this is exactly there could be occasions when this analysis can be true. It can lead us to the truth. But because inherently this method of acquiring knowledge is based on my past experience, based on my observation. Therefore, there is a chance that we can go wrong in our analysis. And which is why this way of acquiring knowledge, which is known as Anumana Pramana, is also rejected by the Vedas, by the Acharyas. They do not rely on this method of acquiring knowledge. And this is exactly the fallacy of modern science. Modern science, in a simple definition of science is study of the world around us through observation and experiment. This is science. Study of the world around us through observation. Observation means pratyaksha pramana, which means you are basing the information that you gather through your imperfect senses. Observation and experiment. Based on that, you make a theory, then you do an experiment, and then you prove it. So, which is why we see many times the understanding in science is not perfect. It is constantly evolving, which is why they say we are doing research. Research means you don't have perfect understanding, and you have to do a research so that you can improve that understanding. Like, for example, at one point in time, those of you who are students of science will be able to appreciate it. They were studying matter. The scientists were studying matter. And they said the smallest indivisible particle of matter is an atom. So we have heard of Bohr's experiment, Rutherford's cathode ray experiment, and so on. So the understanding was an atom is the smallest indivisible particle of matter. They were trying to understand what is this matter? What is actually the truth? What exists? So they were trying to get inside into molecular level, and they were trying to see what is further the most fundamental block of matter. And they said, atom, this is the most basic unit of matter. And that was accepted around the world. This is what it is. Then somebody else came and said, no. They did more research, which means the previous understanding was imperfect. And this person came and said, no, atom is not the smallest indivisible particle. There is electron, neutron, proton, and they did various experiments, and they showed the presence of all these different subatomic particles. And then now further they're saying with quantum mechanics and with so much of we have heard of this large hadron colliders. I think it's in Switzerland. They have huge laboratories where they study they study matter, try to break down the atomic particles. Now they say now they're saying no, it's just not neutron and proton, electron. There are many more subatomic particles. They've identified 100 plus subatomic particles, Higgs boson particle, this particle, that particle, and they're saying something even more smaller than that. So constantly this understanding is getting redefined. That means there is no perfect understanding. Why? Because it is all based on my perception, an individual's perception. Somebody else will come and say, no, this is not. Say they'll come up with some other understanding. Likewise, at one point in time, take the field of medicine. At one point in time, they said the disease is caused due to imbalance of the elements, ether, air, fire in the body, that causes disease. Then Louis Pasteur came and he did this famous swan neck experiment, and he said, no, that is not the cause. It is because of microorganisms. Germ theory of disease, he proposed, Louis Pasteur. Then he said, this is why now we have understanding. It is not just microorganisms, there are many other causes. There is a genetic cause, there is a congenital cause, there is so many reasons why somebody can fall sick. And this is also evolving. There's an autoimmune cause. So much of the understanding of the disease is evolving. Like that, there are hundreds of such examples. Somebody will propose something, whole world will accept this is truth. Then after some time, somebody else will come and say, no, that is wrong. This is what it is truth. So what is happening? This is Anumana Pramana. Like the 6 blind men trying to understand the elephant. Each one is based on their observation and then theorizing, then proving it. And because it is based on observation, which is through your imperfect senses, therefore, there is every chance that the analysis can go wrong. And there are hundreds of examples of how this is so true in modern science, in the case of modern science. So, which is why this way of acquiring knowledge is also rejected. It is not a foolproof way of acquiring knowledge. And then there is another way of acquiring knowledge called Shabda Praman. What is the Shabda Praman? All of us have this experience. We are going to school. There is a teacher. Teacher will say, this is A. Beta, this is A. This is B. This is C. So that's how we learned. We never question why A has to be like this only. Why A cannot be like this? Why this cannot be A? No. This is how teacher said A, this is A. Teacher said B, this is B. C, C. They said, we followed. This is how we learned. We accepted the authority of the teacher. And that is how now we are able to appreciate the world. We are able to read, we are able to write, so many things. So, many things we have accepted. For example, even today, in biology, we have heard about mitosis, meiosis, how the cell division happens. There is a nucleosome, there is a 80s ribosome particle, 30th ribosome particle, and then how there is an mRNA. So many things we have learned and we have memorized and we have written exam, we have passed, but I have never seen all these things in my life. I have never seen a Golgi apparatus. I have not seen so these things, because we take the word of the, like when I was a student of MBBS, we would refer to books like Ganong, Guyton's Physiology, Gray's Anatomy, and Harrison's Internal Medicine. I'm sure Dr. Yashwant will be able to relate with all this. He's also from the medical line. So these literatures are considered to be like the gold standard. You take anything from that book and you write, nobody can refute, because this is gold standard. This is the Bible. Bible means whatever is said there, nobody can question. So I may not have personally experienced it, but because this great person is saying so it is right. I accept. Why? That means you are going by the authority of the author. You are going by the authority of the teacher. Today you are getting news about what is happening in Ukraine. I was reading a news. Biden is in Poland. Biden is meeting the Foreign Secretary, Defense Secretary of Ukraine, and he's saying that if Putin uses chemical weapons, then we will respond. And so many statements he's making, and that is coming as the headlines in the news. I have not gone and heard. I was not sitting in that conference in Poland. I was not there. How do I know? Why do I believe it? I've not gone and seen whether war is happening or not. I'm seeing in the TV, they're showing images, they're interviewing. All this can be made up also. There can be a hysteria about what is happening in the world. Just like in Russia, they are telling a different story to the people, and people are thinking, yes, it is very good what is happening, and they're feeling patriotic about it. That's the way in which the media is circulated, and people believe. So this also can be some kind of a hysteria somebody can do and change the perception. So anyway, that apart, whether it is rightly done or wrongly done, but I'm accepting the events unfolding in the world based on what I see. I have put my trust in this television channel, Good Morning Britain or BBC or Guardian, and I take their statements to be truth, and I accept. So if they say that now Russia has stopped moving towards, they have captured Kiev, they have captured Kharkov, I'll accept. Yes, the BBC is saying it is true. So so these are day-to-day life. We are applying this principle of Shabda Praman. What is Shabda Praman? You accept information from an authority. Guyton has said, over. Ganong has said, over. Grey's Anatomy has said, over. What is it? Shabda Praman. Teacher has told, over. You accept. So, this way of acquiring knowledge is accepted, provided the source on which you are putting your faith is perfect. If the source is perfect, then your knowledge is also perfect. If the source is imperfect, you have put your faith on a source which is imperfect, then you will get cheated. You will get cheated. Which is why in the Vedic lifestyle, people accept knowledge from Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Shastra is, what is Shastra? Shastra is the Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. All these Vedic literatures have, these are the words of God. So Shabda is coming from whom? From Krishna. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. Krishna revealed the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of unto Brahma, and then Brahma, he compiled the Vedic literatures. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. And it was that knowledge, you see, it was passed on from Brahma to Narada to Vedavyasa to Madhvacharya in the chain of Parampara. You see this? It comes through the Acharya. So, when you accept knowledge through Guru, when you accept knowledge from Guru and Sadhu, Sadhu means a devotee who is representing the spiritual master, who is a disciple, and he is representing the teachings of the spiritual master. He is Sadhu. And Shastra. A Sadhu will not speak anything which is not spoken by Guru and Shastra. Guru will not speak anything which is not there in the Shastra. And Shastra, it is coming from the Supreme Lord. It is coming from Krishna. These are words of Krishna. This is Shastra. It is not some human being's manufactured words. Shastra is not manufactured by any human being. Shastra has come from the Supreme Lord. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye, the Bhagavatam says. This is how the Vedic knowledge has originated. It has come from Krishna, from God. Therefore, it is perfect. Shastra can never go wrong. And Acharya, because he's coming, because he's receiving that knowledge in a chain, in an unbroken chain, therefore he presents the message as it is, which is why the Bhagavad Gita commented by Srila Prabhupada is known as Bhagavad Gita Yatharup, as it is, which means the same understanding which Arjuna got 5,000 years ago. If you read this Bhagavad Gita, you will get the same understanding. No change, no difference. This is Parampara. As it was received by Brahma, as it was received by Narada, as is received by Vedavyasa, Madhvacharya, and then through that chain comes Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Thakur Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. The same message is coming down through time immemorial, without any deviation. This is parampara. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshriyo viduhu, sakale neha mahata, yogo nashta parantapa. Evam parampara praptam. This one has to receive knowledge through parampara. And this way of acquiring knowledge is called Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means the way of receiving knowledge from authorities. If you receive knowledge from authorities, then you will never be misled. You will never be carried away. No deception, no cheating. And the condition to that is the source from whom you receive this knowledge. Where you apply the Shabda Praman should be perfect source. And that is true only when you receive from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So that is that is in brief about the three ways of acquiring knowledge. And the perfect way of acquiring knowledge is Shabda Praman. And because we are receiving knowledge, why we are studying the books given by Prabhupada, why we are taking inspiration from his life, from his behavior, because he is Achar, he's coming in a parampara. We are not interested in the teachings of any Tom, Dick and Harry because they're imperfect. Their teachings are also imperfect. There is no benefit by taking their message because they themselves do not know what is the truth. But if you receive knowledge from an Acharya, then you'll never go wrong. You'll be perfect. And you can experience that. As you are practicing this knowledge in your day-to-day life, you can experience that. You can experience transcendental knowledge. You can experience detachment. You can experience all good qualities manifesting in your behavior. And people can appreciate that. You can appreciate that more than anything. But the people appreciate or not, you can appreciate that. And that's important. So, so in the verse we are seeing Krishna is saying, Avyaktoyam, Achintyoyam. Achintya, yes. This understanding of the soul is achintya. It is inconceivable. Through your direct senses, you cannot appreciate this. One has to appreciate it through Shabda Praman. One has to appreciate it through the Acharya, through the Parampara. Then you can appreciate it. And it is explained sufficiently. There is all logic, reasoning, argument given by the Acharyas to help us appreciate such message. And we accept it as truth. So on this note, we'll stop here. Let us chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra. And then if there are any questions, any comments, most welcome.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. So that was 108 times. So that was 108 times chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra.
If there are any questions or any comments, please feel free. Yes, Isha, go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it was really interesting and insightful, to be honest.
Thank you.
Okay. Prabhuji, shall we say that basically the seers, the acharyas are trying to say that, I mean, why do you waste your efforts by going through this pratyaksha pramana or anumana pramana? Because when you have, there's no need to reinvent the wheel, because you already have everything which is given by the Supreme God. So just follow what he has said.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. But Prabhuji, the question that I have is I mean, is this the same concepts that has been explained in all the other philosophies like Advaita or Vishishtadvaita or other paramparas?
Yes. So there are there are 4 bona fide sampradayas through which one can receive knowledge, and that is described in the scriptures about the leading acharyas in these paramparas and who are heading these paramparas. They're also known as sampradaya. So there is Rudra Sampradaya, which is led by Lord Shiva, and the prominent acharyas in this parampara are Vishnu Swami. There is Shri Sampradaya, which is headed by Lakshmi Devi, and the acharyas, prominent acharyas in this parampara are Ramanujacharya, Yamunacharya, Vedanta Desikar. These are all the prominent acharyas in this parampara, in this sampradaya. Then there is Kumara Sampradaya. In fact, Vishnu Swami belongs to Kumara Sampradaya. The other acharyas like Vallabhacharya, he belongs to the Rudra Sampradaya. So Kumara Sampradaya is headed by the 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara. And like I mentioned, Vishnu Swami and others are the famous acharyas, prominent acharyas in this parampara. And we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya. Brahma Sampradaya is headed by Lord Brahma, and the prominent acharyas of this parampara are Narada Muni, Veda Vyasa, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswamis, Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha, Shad Goswami, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. They all come in the Brahma Sampradaya. So one can approach the acharyas coming in any of these 4 sampradayas. And then so that is the provision for this Kali Yuga. This Kali Yuga, these are the authorized sources.
So, Prabhuji, does all these 4 sampradayas believe in Shabda Pramana? Or
Yes, that's the meaning of Sampradaya. They are all
Okay.
receiving knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord. Lakshmi Devi, the 4 Kumaras, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they're all exalted devotees of Krishna. All the 4 Sampradayas unanimously agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of them. Unanimously they agree on this point. The ways and means of reaching him, somebody may be, all of them, they profess the path of bhakti. And in that path of bhakti, there may be some variation in terms of the practice of a particular anga of bhakti. But the goal and the broad process is all the same in all of them. Like that. That's the that's the understanding.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? All right. Thank you very much for joining. We'll see all of you next week as we continue these sessions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare